unprofessional. Simply unprofessional.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, my awesome co-host, Devin. Devin, how you doing?
I'm alright. How you doing, Webs?
Oh, that's a loaded question, and you know it.
It's always a loaded
I
question.
mean, it could be worse. Could be better. I could not have this headache. I'm dying.
Nah, you're not dying.
Can I be
You
though?
just wish you were dying.
True statement. So, it is, by the time the listeners are listening to this, it's Friday. If you're listening to it the day it comes out.
If you're listening to it as you're recording it, somehow you're a fucking wizard.
You're in the future, Harry. So it's Christmas week. Merry Christmas to all of you. Bah humbug, all that jazz. We decided we weren't doing any type of Christmas episodes. We've been doing Stephen King all month, and this week is no exception. We're going to be talking about Stephen King's It, the original TV miniseries, and the movies, the two movies that came out recently. And we're going to do a bit of compare and contrast.
Let's just get this out of the way real quick because you hadn't seen any of the new movies up until recently.
Until just a couple days ago.
Yes. So overall improvement from the miniseries?
Well, it was creepier. I will give it that. It's hard to say because, like, I was a big Tim Curry fan, and like, so him being Pennywise in the originals made Pennywise less scary to me, but it kind of set a high bar for the movie. Overall, I think they did it at a great time. They marketed it at a great time because, like you said, it was 27. The new movie came out in 27 years later, which that's the time frame that Pennywise comes back in.
Which that's the first change where the first compare and contrast change I want to talk about from the show to the miniseries to the actual movie.
But with that being said, it was due to have a remake, and I felt like they chose the perfect time to do so, and I don't think the movie lost anything by getting remade. Like, you know how some movies, they remake the original, it's just, like, not as good. This one, I don't feel really skipped that beat. I think it held true, and overall was very enjoyable to me. Very long.
Well, it's two movies. So
yeah. Well, even then, the second movie, long movie.
I mean, I think the TV shows were actually longer because you have to realize they had commercials, so they were like 2.5 hours piece or 2 hours piece, like with commercials. So they're like 3 hours. They were like 6 hours total.
Yeah, true statement. So the thing I want to preface first: the original It TV miniseries came out in 1990. The new It movie, the first one, Chapter 1, came out in 2017, so there is that 27-year gap. The original in the movie took place in 1960.
Yeah, because in
the new movie, it took place in 1989.
Well, yeah, because they brought it current to today, to be 27 years later in current day 2019. So,
right. Well, the only thing is like in the original though, it took place in 1960. But
in the original, it was a 30-year gap. In the book, it was 27 years. In the movie, it was 27 years. For some reason, the TV show rounded it up to 30 years.
Okay, because in the new movie, it was
in the new movie and in the book,
1989 is when it's taking place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they moved that up to make it where the first one came out in 2016 to make it current in 2016.
Right.
So they brought it from 1989, to 2016, which is when the first part one came out. So they brought it current to them.
Yeah. Um, I'm going to let you get into the pretty much the premise of it, but the very short premise for the listeners
I mean, do you really
is
got to go over the premise for it at this point? It's it.
some people haven't seen it, I'm sure.
I mean, all
Um,
right.
but for the
Primordial being takes the form of clown, terrorizes children because they're his source of food. He prefers children because they are really easy to. Their
frightened
fears,
and
their
they
fears
believe,
are, their fears are more imaginary and not as tangible. Like
yeah,
humans, he doesn't really feed on humans because it's hard to. Like things that scare humans is like debt, like
yeah,
like
like
debt,
adults,
like
yeah, dead,
he's gonna like manifest as like a fucking banker, like yo, hey,
right?
yo, I'm mortgaging your house. Like no, so he's like
Yo,
kids
you're
are just
back on your
easier to
taxes,
yeah, kids are just fucking easier to manipulate their fears and
right?
manifest and and they believe more into them and people deal with debt and shit all the time. It's kind of like whatever, it is
Right.
what it is. Whereas them, it is so for kids, it's much easier to manifest. As far as anyone ever has known, if going back to the novels, it narrates himself as he is the strongest being as he's ever met in the universe. The closest thing is the turtle. He said, but he does say that the turtle was actually below him in power.
I'm sorry. The what
The turtle.
in the is this is in the book?
That's the lore. Like so. Okay. So in the original, in the book, and even I think they reference it in the thing. They reference it in the miniseries. They may have referenced it in the movie too. When Mike was talking about all like the Native American stuff, or
Right.
like yeah. So there's two primordial beings before Earth started. It was it and this turtle. This like cosmic space turtle, so to speak. The turtle, everything that happened on Earth and everything that happened in the universe, the turtle threw up, and when he threw it threw up this whole like this universe. And since then, it has been feeding on kind of just the various species and things on here, but it and him they kind of act as a counterbalance to each other, kind of like yin and yang. But it states in the books, he states that he is probably he's stronger between the both of them, but he does say that he's really only ever worries he only worries when he has children back. Like he's never afraid of the children. He's only afraid of the children when they're backed up by the turtle, which I can't think of his name right now. Hold on. Turtle. The turtle is called. Yeah. So the turtle is called Matron. Matron. He's also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's also in the Dark Tower. He's also one of the gods in the Dark Towers. He's one of the 12 guardians of the beams. In the Dark Tower. And yeah, all this stuff ties together. But he is a turtle. He's 20 billion years old. He is currently dead, but he was 20 billion years old. In the books, Matron seemed to serve largely as a spectator to the events that unfolded in the battle between it and the Losers Club. Matron only involved himself and advised the young Bill Denbrow during the ritual of Chud in 1958 when Gon provided the Losers with most of their strength. So there you go.
Okay.
So there you go. So Gon is God. he so in the hierarchy of the it Stephen King verse, you have Gon, who is God, and then you have it and the turtle. Those are right after that. So there you go.
All right.
So let's see if I read you a little backstory on Mr. It. It is a shape-shifting creature known as a glamour, who is billions of years old. Although it lives on planet Earth for many years, it originated in a void dimension outside of the regions of space known as the Macroverse. Since its true identity is unclear due to its shape-shifting abilities and being from another universe, its real name and species are called deadlights, but few know this, which is why it's referred to as it. The form of a female spider seems to be its true physical form on Earth, or at least the closest thing the human mind can comprehend. Living deep below the fictional town of Derry, Maine. It can morph, it can morph into any other person, animal, or object, including combinations thereof. This ability is useful for A, appearing as target's loved ones or friends to manipulate them and lure them into traps. B, appearing as the target's worst psychological fear. However, its favorite and most common form is that of a circus performer named Pennywise the Dancing Clown. As most small children love a clown, and generally it seems that people in Derry happily accept the presence of a stray circus performer, which I want to just name one
It's
kid
Maine.
that actually
It's
likes
Maine.
clowns.
It's Maine.
No. Name one kid that actually likes clowns, though. Like, I don't know a single kid that's like, I want to see a clown. Like, there's no kid. I've never met a kid that likes clowns. I've met many of kids who had parents like, oh, I got him a clown for his birthday, and they're just like, all right. Like, I've never met a kid that's like, I love clowns. Like, no. Origins of it. There we go. It originated in an undiscovered void containing and surrounding our entire universe. Another far-off universe referred to as a macroverse. Other evidence from this series suggests that it is a creation of a separate omnipotent creator referred to as the Other, which may be the entity gone. This Other helps the defeat of it at the end and may also be responsible for the creation of the turtle, who is its natural enemy. In it, the novel, the turtle refers to it as his brother. It may be one of the twinners. It may be one of or a twinner. There you go. Of the 6 greater demon elementals mentioned by Mia in the Song of Susanna. As the spider is not one of the beam guardians, it is possible that there are other creatures of the same species as it, due to the fact that it is revealed to be pregnant.
Well, okay.
There you go.
I didn't get any of that from the movie.
No, they glanced over that in the movie. The book, that's why the book's like 1,000 pages long.
Yeah, the book is 1,138 pages.
That's why it's like 1,000 pages long.
And I've gotten to page 58 like 4 times.
One day, Webby, you will get past page. Like, Webby's gonna be like on his deathbed. He's gonna be like, hand me the book, and he's gonna read from page 1 to 59. He's like, I did it.
I did it. I succeeded. I set a goal. I achieved it.
That's how Webby does. Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, so let's talk about the original movie here or the TV series for a little bit, as far as the cast and general, I guess, a generalized walkthrough of the movie. Because the TV series did a lot more bouncing around.
Well, yeah. So, the TV series followed more like the book, because the book is narrated. It starts off being narrated by the guy's name is escaping me, the black guy, Mike. There you go. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's narrated by Mike in the beginning, and it's narrated from his perspective and him getting the gang back together, and then through that narration, he's describing everything that's happening. Kind of like how the It miniseries starts off with Mike calling everybody, which I find really funny, because if you watch like Cinema Sins, I thought it was a long time ago. I thought about this a while ago. I was watching it too. That he just managed to catch all these people the first time he calls them, like, "Yo, hey."
Yep.
Well, he catches that one guy. He's not even in his house. He's just like at like a random bar.
Yep.
I'm like, I want that superpower. I can just call someone and they always pick up the phone when I need them. Like, boom. Perfect.
And I will say, in the original, if I'm not mistaken, they're all pretty much friends already.
Yes and no. The friend circle is different, I think, in the original. If I'm not mistaken, Ben's not the new kid. If I'm not mistaken, it's let me look up the people real quick here while I'm thinking about it, so I can actually.
Because there's
if
Richie.
I'm not mistaken, the friends are back in the day. The friends are Eddie. Let me look at the losers real quick. I can pull it up and tell you. Losers Club. There you go. So the Losers Club, boom. So the Losers Club originally was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7 of them, it is good old fashioned 100% people. My people. So you have Bill, Ben, 85 and Stan, Eddie. So yeah, Stan always killed himself. Saddle Stan. And then Eddie. All right. Anyway, so there's Bill. So in the original, in the TV series, Bill Ben, Stan, and Eddie. I think everyone's friends originally in the real, and Mike's I think still the new kid
Okay.
in the original. I'm not mistaken. I think Mike's still the new kid. Actually, I can look it up and see. Mike from 1990. Mike is the most hated child in Derry by Henry Bowers, who develops his hatred by paralleling his father hatred of Mike's father, Will. Henry terrorizes Mike when he gets the chance, and he killed Mike's dog. That's one thing I do want to talk about, Mr. Chip. That guy that remains in the kitchen alone. Mine encounters in the form of a giant bird. Mine encounters a sack. It reveals who Mike. Mike was known to the losers. He was the only black child in Derry, but as he went to Nibbit Street Church School, he went to a different school. They didn't hang out with him personally.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Mike. So everyone was friends originally. Mike in that one, and Mike was brought in new, and then Beverly was new. So in the original, Beverly and Mike were the additions. Everyone else kind of went to the same school and hung around and knew each other. But the three best friends were Bill, Ben, and Eddie.
Okay.
They were the ones who were hanging out by the creek, like throwing rocks after school and chilling.
Right.
And then they met Beverly and everybody else. And the new one, Ben's new, Beverly's new, and Mike is there, but not new. He's not new.
He's not new.
He's been
just,
in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like an outcast.
Yup.
So.
Yup.
All right. So what was this about a dog?
Oh, so one of the biggest changes between the miniseries, the book, and the movies were in the miniseries kind of hung onto this a little bit more than the actual movie did, but Henry Bowers was much more sadistic in the book and in the miniseries than he was in the movie.
Okay.
Believe it or not, like
he was pretty fucking sadistic in the fucking movie.
like for instance, he killed Mike's dog. In the original, in the book and in that, he poisoned Mike's dog with rat poisoning.
Jesus.
He broke Eddie's arm. Eddie didn't break his arm running away from the leper. After the incident where they were throwing rocks at him on the beach, or at down at the creek, he chased Eddie. He caught up to Eddie like another day, and he pushed Eddie to the ground and broke his arm that way.
God dang.
So he broke Eddie's arm. And he whitewashed Stan's face in the snow until it bled.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, so I mean, in the original, he was much more. He was his insanity was much more, like prevalent in the original and everything else. So he was more of an asshole in the original and in the book than he was in the new film.
I will say, when we get there, in it chapter 2, in the new film, there's a scene with Bowers that fucking I caught me off guard. I didn't see that shit coming. So, where he meets up with, I'm pretty sure it was Eddie actually. Meets up with Eddie in his hotel room.
Oh, okay.
So, but all right, continue. Since we're talking about the original, because I know the original, it starts off with them as adults, and then they do like the flashback scenes as kids, and then it comes back to them being adults, and then they do flashback scenes as kids. So it's kind of like coherently moving together through the story. Whereas the new movies, chapter 1 is pretty much all their kids, and then chapter 2 it's pretty much all their adults with some minor flashbacks. So the original the adult grouping of people, you have Harry Anderson, Anderson, who plays Richie. I know him best from Night Court as Harry. He's the judge. Then there's Dennis Christopher, who plays Eddie. He's from things like Deadwood, and he actually played a demon in the Angel series and maybe Buffy for a while. He was an ongoing villain in those. Richard Macer plays Stanley. The only thing I knew him from was MASH. He was Digger. Tim Reed played Mike. He's from that '70s show Sister Sister. He was the dad, I believe. John Ritter played Ben. He was Eight Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter, Three's Company.
He was the best thing about the miniseries. John Ritter was the
Yeah.
best thing about the miniseries. Him and Tim Curry stole the show, but John Ritter's my man.
Richard Thomas
Looks
played
really
Bill.
weird without a beard.
Richard Thomas played Bill. He had a mullet in the movie. Fucking hate it, or not a mullet, the ponytail. I hated that ponytail in the original. He was in the Waltons. He played John Boy. Annette O'Toole played Beverly, adult Beverly. Everyone, I mean, I know her from Smallville. She's Martha Kent. And then obviously Tim Curry as Pennywise from, Rocky Horror Picture Show, various voice acting jobs. Tim Curry's he's a legend.
Yep.
Now, as far as the kids from the original, Richie was played by Seth Green, who, if you don't know who Seth Green is, go Google him. He's in fucking everything. Eddie was played by Adam Farazell, who I tried to look up some stuff, like some movies and shows that these people would have been in that maybe people would know. Pretty much the movie It is the only thing this guy's known for. Same with the guy who played Stanley, Ben Heller. Mike was played by Marlon Taylor. Ben was played by Brandon Crane, who was in the Wonder Years and Full House. Bill was played by Jonathan Brandis from like the Never-Ending Story Part 2. And Bev was played by Emily Perkins, who me and you would know from Supernatural. She plays Becky, the crazed fan.
Oh, yeah.
So,
who recently just came back.
Yeah. So that's the cast of the past and present of the original. Do you want to wait, or do you want me to name the cast of the new ones too?
You can go with the cast of the new ones that I know you have that written down.
All right. So, in the same order, starting with the adults in the new movies. So this would be It Chapter 2. Richie's played by Bill Hader from movies like Pineapple Express, Knocked Up, Hot Rod, Superbad. Eddie is played by James Ransone. The only thing I could fucking pull off of this guy was Old Boy. Go figure. The remake of
your favorite movie.
I fucking hate that movie.
But what was his name?
He played Dr. Tom Melby.
What was his name?
James Ransone.
James Ransone. Let me see. I'll tell you.
I don't fucking know.
I'll tell you.
Stanley was played by Andy Bean, who was
he was in Generation Kill and Ken Park. Okay, I know from Generation Kill and Ken Park.
I don't know what that is.
Both. Generation Kill is good. Ken Park's not really worth watching, but whatever.
Andy Bean from the Swamp Thing TV series. Mike is played by Isaiah Mustafa from Shadowhunters. Was a pretty big thing on his IMDb. Never seen it.
It's not bad. Shadowhunters is actually not bad. It's
Ben was played by Jay Ryan from Beauty and the Beast TV series. Bill was played by James McAvoy, which, if you don't know who James McAvoy is, go Google him. He's Charles Xavier in all the new X-Men movies. He's from Split. He's from Glass, along with several other movies. Beverly is played by Jessica Chastain. The only thing Zero Dark 30 was the only notable thing that I could pull off of hers. I didn't.
Seriously?
The other things didn't register to me. I think she's in a lot of horror movies, which is why I don't really know who she is.
That sounds accurate.
And then Pennywise is played by Bill Skarsgård from Hemlock Grove.
Yep, which we talked about that last week.
Yeah. So. The kids in It Chapter 1, Richie is played by Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. He plays Mike. Eddie is played by Jack Dylan Grazer. He's really only notable for this movie so far. Stanley Wyatt Olaf. Stanley is played by Wyatt Olaf, who some people would know him. He played the young Peter Quill in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Mike is played by Chosen Jacobs from Castle Rock is what I pulled off of his. I don't know.
Okay.
He plays Wendell.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I
Um,
got to watch Castle Rock. What's his name in Castle Rock 2? The guy that plays Pennywise in Castle Rock 2.
Yeah. Ben is played by Jeremy Ray Taylor. He's in a lot of the Goosebumps movies.
Oh, yeah, he is. Those movies aren't bad.
Bill is played by Jaden Martell, also really only notable for this movie so far.
Good job.
And Beverly is played by Sophia Lillis, which the only thing that I can really pull off of hers was she was in Nancy Drew in The Hidden Staircase. She played Nancy. So
I could see it.
Lead role for that, I guess. So that's your cast for past and present. That's all I got for notes as far as the movie, by the way. So the rest is you.
That's fine. All right. Boom. So, going into, I guess, what you want to go into the original? Let's start with, let's just do a quick compare and contrasting.
All right.
And we just do compare and contrast. So, first off,
I got the first compare and contrast.
Go for it.
They're both take place in Derry, Maine.
Okay, there we go. That's good. That's
Yes.
good, strong start.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question though. So, do you like the way the miniseries followed the book more? The movie followed its own path, but the movie I felt was easier to follow because it was two self-contained stories.
Yes, I agree.
As opposed to bouncing back and forth.
I agree with you on that one. Like,
Okay.
I don't mind the occasional like flashback scene, but like, I liked the new movies because, like you said, they're two self-contained stories. Chapter 1 was pretty much all of the stories from the kids' perspective, or as the kids. Chapter 2 was all of the adults, but they still had a few flashback memories kind of things.
Yep.
But it's not just the constant back and forth of it all.
And can I just say how much I loved the It Part 2, the jump scare, well, where he ate the little girl under the bleachers.
Yeah, dude, there was a lot of. I give it Chapter 2 a lot of credit. Like I don't know. There was several parts where it was just like shocked me. I guess like there was just that shock factor. I mean, even the original, me and you watched the original It together. We didn't manage. This week has been very hectic because, like I said, it's been Christmas. We didn't get to watch It Chapter 2 together, but I did. We did watch it. But when we were watching It Chapter 1, you started laughing as soon as fucking Georgie went to go reach for his goddamn fucking boat in the sewer. And the fucking clown bit his arm off. I didn't fucking...
Because they only could show so much back in the day on the TV because it was made for TV. So
Yeah.
it was like it went on Sci-Fi. So it was
Oh man, there was blood all over the place. There was just a fucking flailing kid with no arm. Like, God.
The old lady who didn't do shit.
I didn't. Yeah, just staring at the fucking thing happening from her porch.
She's just like, oh, there was a kid there. Now there's blood in the street. I don't know what happened.
Yep.
Go back inside.
Yep.
Rufus, catch. Let's go.
The rain will wash
Didn't
this
actually
away.
say that, but the rain will wash us away.
So,
Pennywise himself. So Pennywise, I think the movies did a better job of the look of Pennywise, mainly because like I'm going to send you a rendered version of what they describe him as in the comic book, in the actual movie. They describe him as.
you mean in the book?
Yeah. Pennywise the Dancing Clown, and in the book he's described wearing a silver suit with orange pom-pom buttons.
That is creepy.
And that is really creepy. So that's a rendered image of him, of how they describe him in the books.
See, Tim Curry, I feel like, was given this job and was just like, hey, we're just going to paint you like a clown. And so they just made him look like a legit clown.
They just painted you like, hey, yo, be a creepy clown.
Yeah.
So
they just painted him like
creepy.
a clown, and then he was told to be creepy.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't bother trying to make him
I don't
creepy.
understand this clown. Like, if I ever saw this clown, this is not the clown I would ever, as a kid or as an adult, would ever go near.
No.
This is the clown you stay away from.
Yeah, no. This is the clown who fills his balloons with chlorine gas at children's birthday parties.
Yes,
Like,
this
it's
is
not
the
good.
clown who's like one step from becoming Joker. That's this clown. So yeah, I really do like they even changed him a little bit in the movies, but I do actually like the way I do like the way he looks in there. And I'm not gonna lie, his outfit took a second to grow on me
Yeah.
in the movies,
All
but
right.
once it did, it's just the frilly collar. I hate the frilly collars. I hate it so much. I couldn't do it after a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even Tim Curry had the frilly collar, and
I know, but his wasn't
this
like
one.
as pronounced for some reason. Like
The picture you
it
just showed
bother
me,
as much.
he has a frilly collar, but it's less frilly and more like cone-like, like what you would put on a dog's head to stop him from fucking licking
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. Like in its frilly collar, like Tim Curry's is like just kind of like it's kind of like a duvet. Like it's just like light and airy. Like the
Yeah.
other one, on the movie itself, like that one, it's so stiff. Like it looks restricting. It bothers me.
Yeah.
Like it's weird because like he looks uncomfortable in that, so I'm uncomfortable looking at him.
Yeah.
We're like this guy, like it's much more.
I will say one thing, and I give it to Pennywise on this one too, because I didn't see it too much in the TV series.
Shout out to the special effects guys, by the way, for making these guys have huge heads.
Yeah.
In both, they nailed the huge, weird-looking head.
Now, I will say, in the movie, and I did comment on this when we were watching it, and you had to tell me I wasn't seeing things, that it really was happening. Pennywise, to me, is just, even when he's being, like, quote-unquote nice in the movies, he creeps me out more than Tim Curry's ever did, because of like the weird stare where like one eye looks like it's kind of wandering off like elsewhere, and then like the constant like salivating of his mouth. Like he's always just drooling. Like, don't get me wrong, normally 90% of the time that we see Pennywise, it's like raining out, or he's in the sewer and there's like water dripping everywhere, or he's just drenched in something anyway. But like the constant salivating and just drooling, it creeped me out. It was like, okay, that's enough. You're like a very strange. You should be on a list. Like,
Can I just say one thing real quick too? It's funny. If you ignore the red hair around Tim Curry's head, his face looks like a thumb.
Yes. You're not.
And now I can't unsee it.
Yeah.
He reminds me of one of those creatures from fucking Spy Kids.
Okay. I will say this is probably one of my favorite pictures. I'm going to do the picture thing now that Devin is.
That's fine.
I love this one.
One of these guys. Yeah.
Tim Curry was just like, I don't know, he was like the friendly it clown. But, I mean, until the end. Oh, Jesus Christ. That bothers me.
I see one of those.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Like just paint the thumb white and put a red wig on it and like some fake eyes and a nose, and you pretty much got the same thing.
Yeah.
He reminds me of a thumb, and it's really funny. And now I can't unsee it, but it was one of those things. But yeah, so Pennywise was definitely it was one of those things. Like I felt like in the movie he was more in the original. I felt like he was tormenting the kids, but he wasn't really ever trying to get them. Where in the movie, I felt like he had the same, he did the same thing where he would torment them. But I felt there were a couple of scenes like if he actually got his hands on them, he would have just killed them right then and there.
Yeah.
Like in the garage. Like when they're in the garage, he jumps out of the screen and then he jumps out of the screen in the garage and chases them down. I feel like if he had grabbed one of them there, he would have just taken one of them with him.
Right. Now, I had asked you when we were watching this, Pennywise always seems to be everywhere, and he's constantly after these kids, like just making these kids' lives a living hell.
Yep.
Now, I had asked you How come he doesn't just fucking kill him? Like, or like kidnap him, drag him down in the sewer. Okay. And you said that it was essentially them building up the fear.
Mhm.
You know, the more scared they are, the better they taste, the more fulfilling they are, blah, blah, blah. First, couldn't he also just drag them back down to the sewer and make them freaked out and scared down there alone? Second, isn't that kind of like he's just setting himself up for failure at that point? Don't show that
That's
picture to the flat earthers. Is
I
all
know.
I'm saying.
That's the turtles. That's the turtle. That's its rival.
Okay. The turtle with the world on his back.
Not only that, he has actually elephants on his back that are holding up the world on his back. If you zoom in on the picture,
Oh yeah. That's messed up.
he's just flying through space like la la.
And this was
I'm
the
a
lore
turtle.
this was the lore in the book.
This was the lore in the book that actually carried over to the Dark Tower series. So like the Dark Tower is tied into it.
Now my
in some
question for
capacity.
you, and we do not
Yes.
need to do research on this tonight by any means.
Of course, we do.
Possibly later in the future, a couple episodes down the line or something, maybe we'll revisit this question. Do you think Stephen King actually did research and pulled this from like some sort of real Native American history or story? Or do you think he was just crazy on
He's
drugs one
never-
night and just thought
No.
this shit up?
So no, so he unlike a lot of his other things, he's never openly said where he got this from. That's why some people are like, this actually happened. This actually, people are like, this actually happened to him as a kid or something like that along the lines, because they're like, everything else he'll be like, oh, I got my, I kind of got the idea from this or this or this. He's never openly said where he got the idea for it from, but a lot of people just think it's what's his name? That he kind of got the idea from John Wayne Gacy.
No. I'm not talking about the idea that he got from.
Oh, you mean like
I'm
the whole,
talking about
like
the story of a fucking giant cosmic
Oh no,
turtle with elephants
there were
on his back.
definitely drugs involved in that.
Okay.
There were definitely some really good drugs involved in that.
Okay.
100%.
Because
I'd
like
to
you
go on.
said, this
picture.
This picture is a giant ass sea turtle floating in space with elephants on its back, holding up a flat disc.
It does make more sense if you understand the Dark Tower world, but not much more sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
Yeah. Stephen King, get on our podcast and tell us what kind of drugs you took when you wrote these things.
I mean, I'd imagine it was LSD, combination of LSD, marijuana. I think he had a coke problem at some point.
Damn.
Allegedly.
Damn.
Just throwing that out there. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm not looking it up, so you can't sue me for so I say allegedly.
That's right.
I'm no longer responsible for my.
So this clown is tormenting these children. One different scene that I noticed was Beverly's bathroom scene.
Yes, that was different. As opposed to just being like a gurgling sink that exploded into a thing of blood. It was her hair trying to.
And it wasn't even too much blood in the original movie. It was
covered her face, and there was like blood on the floor and on the walls and stuff. It was like
a bad spray.
Fucking floor to ceiling.
Yeah, the movie put the first Nightmare on Elm Street movie to shame with Johnny Depp's scene where he fucking blows up in blood.
So one of the funniest scenes ever.
Yes.
Because my only question is that movie is like I want to see like I want a horror movie from I don't care about the actual horror of the movie. I want like a comedy horror movie that's or like a drama comedy horror movie that's based from the perspective of like the CSI guys that come in and be like, what the fuck happened here? I want to see the CSI guys that got on scene for Johnny Depp's murder in the Nightmare on Elm Street, and they just walk in the room like,
no. Honestly, you know what I want? I want a horror movie from the perspective, solely from the perspective of the monster / villain, where he actually goes and like starts like drawing like pictures and like thinking out these plans of how he's going to freak these people out or kill these victims or whatever, like like Freddy Krueger sitting down at a desk, during the day because no one's sleeping, and he's just like, okay, how am I
I
gonna
mean,
fuck with this person today?
the closest thing to that, I mean, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna get that with like a supernatural thing because I don't think it's planned out. It's just kind of what it is. But I think the closest thing to that is probably just like American Psycho.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, the funny answer to that would be Home Alone
True. True statement. Kevin
because a paint can to the face.
Kevin McAllister's he's the devil.
A paint can to the face from that height would kill you.
Yes.
A full paint can to the face would kill you.
Okay, so the bathroom scene in the original, in the TV show, the sink talked to her a lot. Like, it was Pennywise talking to her through the sink. If I remember correctly, the movie, there was noises which made her go to the sink, and then she started getting trapped by the hair that attacked her down the drain.
Yep.
And then there was just blood. There was no actual Pennywise voice or anything like that.
Yep. Which so in the she heard voices in the sink. In the books. So she was tormented by voices in the sink all the time, and it kind of crescendo to that.
Yeah.
And in fact, a lot of the kids, not even them, but like a lot of the previous victims that were mentioned heard voices in the sink. Like, oh, who's the chick? And did they find her shoe? Who I can't think of right now.
Oh, the first victim, one of the first victims.
Yeah, she also the victim that was right after Georgie.
Yeah.
She heard voices in coming through her pipes too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get that. Let me think. What else we got here? We talked about it, kind of comparing, contrasting him a little bit. We talked about. Let's see. What else we got to touch on here? What are some other differences here?
They both had a Chinese food restaurant.
They did. They had the same Chinese food restaurant.
It was pretty much the same scene, just the fortune cookies were a lot less scary in the original. All the fortune cookies just had like these little pincers, and they just walked. They were like little wind-up toys, as opposed to the weird, fucked up baby fortune cookie and the one winged fortune cookie and all the other things.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up. I did not like that part. That little fortune cookie. Fuck. I was like, fuck guy, fuck
Yeah.
fortune cookie.
Um.
Oh yeah. So in the book there was the werewolf. Was it in the original? Was it in Wachikatu? What's his name? The kid from Stranger Things. The kid that he was playing in Stranger Things. That wasn't Richie.
That was Richie.
Richie? Okay, yeah, Richie. He was he originally had the American Werewolf in London as like his fear because he saw that and that freaked him out. So he was attacked by a werewolf. That was one of the things that was different. They didn't have that in the new movie. They may have had the miniseries. I don't think they did.
I don't think they did either.
Yeah, I think they just did clowns both times. But it was the werewolf. He was chased by a werewolf. What else? Let me see. What's his name? A librarian in this one?
In the movie, Richie was chased by the Paul Bunyan statue.
Yeah. I'll say so. Yep. So there we go. He was chased by Paul Bunyan statue, but in the attic in the house, he got chased by the clowns, didn't he? Remember he got split up in the house, and he was in like the attic with all the clown dolls.
Oh yeah. You're right.
And then there actually was like the It cameo. They had the old It as a doll sitting on one of the shelves in there. He was just like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
It's a rumor that all those different clown dolls were all the forms that Pennywise was taking over the years.
Oh. Okay.
So they had the Tim Curry doll sitting on sitting there too. Let's see. Was Mike a librarian in the new one or no?
Yep.
He was? Okay, I couldn't remember he was in the second one because you watched the second one. I didn't have time to watch it, but like I had seen it prior, so you're more current in the second one than I am.
Yeah.
Just by like a couple of
and
weeks,
he lived in like the attic of the library.
Yeah, I mean like the realisticness of the library because like they had a lot of like the library was hyped up in the miniseries. Like Life as a Librarian is not all that, not all it's cut out to be.
Yeah,
You would probably live over the library in a small town like Derry.
probably.
Because in the original, they had like 5 people on staff at the fucking library. I'm like, why?
Yep.
Why do you need 5 or 6 people on staff at a library?
All them bitches had to help with the Dewey Decimal System.
Yep, the Dewey Decimal System. God damn it.
Mike. Another compare thing. I believe it was the same in the TV show. Mike was the only one of the losers who did not leave Derry, and
Yep.
so he actually remembered everything that happened to them when they were children, as opposed to all of the other adults who mostly forgot everything until they came back to Derry. And then they all slowly started getting their memories to come back. Because they said that the once you move out of Derry, you'll start forgetting, and then the farther away you are, the more you'll forget.
That's true. That is true. One of the things that also changed from the TV series to the movies is they got rid of the slingshot. In the TV series, in the slingshot, they had silver earrings. Because they were like, silver hurts supernatural creatures. And they had the silver earrings they shot. And this one, they had a farmer's bolt gun.
Yep.
They use for cattle, and they use that on them.
Yep.
Which is really fucked up to use that on somebody.
Yeah.
It does some serious damage.
Now in the TV series, the kids they threw the beat down on the clown. Correct.
Yep. They morally just shot him twice or shot once, missed, and then hit him in the dome with the silver.
Yeah, and it started to like crack and stuff.
Yep.
And that's when they thought they had killed him.
Yeah, but he gets like his head cracked open, and all like the light like spewed out, and then he like disappeared in a wave of light.
Yeah. In the movie, they fucking joined up as a team, and they gave this clown a fucking beat down as kids.
Yeah, they did.
To the point where it retreated down that well.
It was a hate crime.
It really was. Like I'm not gonna lie. I talked to you when we were watching that. And I kind of felt bad. Like I was like, wow, I don't know what I'm seeing right now, but I don't think I feel good about this. Like, I know he's a murderous clown that should be on like some sort of like most wanted list, but still.
This isn't one of those situations where like Webby's like sympathizing with like the evil guy because Webby fucking hates clowns. And doesn't like horror movies, so like he feels no sympathy for this guy. Like,
no,
it would be different if this was like Jason. Like if people would keep beat down Jason, Webby would like make a point about it, even if it didn't really bother him that much. But no, this was like a knockdown, drag out, like beat down.
Yeah, no, it was bad. It was rough.
He just beat that clown down, man.
And then, so that's another compare contrast, I guess, is in both the TV and the movies, and I'm sure it's the same in the books. The clown, its lair is in the sewer system, and it's technically below the sewer system.
It's like the sub sewer system.
Yeah, and now is it the same thing? There was like a comet or a meteor that kind of fell from the sky.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Okay.
I'll say it's like. Oh, one of the other things that was different too was Beverly was never captured in the TV show. In the show, I don't think she was captured in the book either.
Okay. Were any of them?
No, I don't think any of them were kidnapped in it.
Yeah.
At all. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, he snatched Bev, but she wasn't originally taken at all. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Dude, I will say it chapter 2, the scene, and it was kind of similar in the original, where she goes back to her old apartment and she speaks with the old lady.
Oh, I love that. I wanted to see her face, the old lady, where like you see her in the background slowly. She's like dancing around. She's naked, like dancing.
Yeah, then
like...
she scuttles over into the darkness. And then she comes out as like this fucking 8-foot tall naked witch giant.
Yep.
It was creepy. Like, I mean, the original, it was just she just turned into like a zombie, like what all the people have been seeing. and
Yep.
I kind of terrorized her throughout the apartment. But this was like, oh my god, what is this chick? I do like how twice in the It movies, it happened once when they were kids, and it happened again when they were adults. So it happened in both chapter 1 and 2. Both times Richie was there, although the first time I think it was Bill who was with him. The second time Eddie was with him. They ran into the 3 doors choices where it says not scary at all, scary, and then very scary. And they constantly chose wrong.
Yep.
I loved how in the adult one, in It Chapter 2, they opened up, they decided, okay, we're going to go with the not scary thing. They opened it up and it was a puppy. It was like
Aw.
it was like a Pomeranian or whatever,
And then it's like a Pomeranian and like opens his mouth like
Well, Richie was just like, "No, I ain't falling for this shit, you evil little creature." And like they're talking, and then he's like, "Sit," and then it sits, and then they start saying how cute it was, and yeah, then it turns into like this massively deformed zombie dog. It's fucked up.
Every time I see that scene, it reminds me of the Ryan Reynolds, the before he was actually famous Ryan Reynolds from Blade 3, where you have the vampire Pomeranian that comes in,
Yep.
and he's like, "Fuck me," and then the dog changes and it's like, "Fuck me sideways."
Yeah.
Love that scene. Oh, Ryan Reynolds, man.
Best scene in Blade 3.
Blade 2 is a fucking terrible movie, so you're not wrong. What else we got?
Both movies, it turns into a giant, like, weird spider creature. Correct?
Yep. Yeah, but I would say he turned into like a regular spider in that one though. It was like a giant, like deformed looking regular spider. But in the other one, he turned into like it was a weird spider. Like he turned into like he was like himself in the movie when he was
in
like
the movie
himself.
one. He had the It face with like a spider body and like weird like praying mantis like pincer like claw type things.
Yep.
Yeah, it was weird. Now in the book, I don't know. You said you didn't read the whole book, but in the book, is it like they are just fighting like these globes of light, right?
No, he's a spider.
No,
That's
I get
his
it.
form on Earth.
Right, but like the globes of light are like his.
That there is no. It's very existential. His form is very existential in the sense that he takes the form of a spider, but that's the closest thing that we can perceive him as. But nobody really knows what he looks like. It's just the deadlights is what we perceive him as, but it's not necessarily what he looks like.
But dude, when he busted
like whatever
that on adult Richie in the movie, I loved how like he like Richie started standing up to him or whatever. Then all of a sudden he opened his mouth and like those beams of light shot at him, and Richie just went limp and his eyes rolled back in his head. I was like, oh my god, this
yeah.
Is fucking,
and let's talk about the part I didn't want to talk about. Face stab.
Which time?
When Richie got stabbed in the face.
Oh yes, that is the part, dude. Okay, so the bully. What was the bully's name again?
Henry Bowers.
Bowers. So in this kid terrorizes them as
kids.
Eddie.
He's had Eddie in the cheek now.
Yeah. So this kid terrorizes them as kids, then ends up getting like mind controlled by it, and ends up killing his father. Goes to like a psych ward prison place, busts out with help, and then goes and when we see Eddie go up into his hotel room, and Bowers is there, stabs him in the face, like right through the cheek. And Eddie's reaction, he's shocked but calm about it. And he's just like, and then he just like slowly backs away into the bathtub and closes the curtain. And Bowers is just standing there laughing. And then when Bowers starts walking closer, Eddie had pulled the knife from his face, stabbed him through the bath curtain in like the chest, and then just stepped out and slowly walked along the wall, opened up the door, and just walked out of the door, and then shut the door. Like it was like the most unintense. It was the most unintense
very
fight
much
scene.
In shock.
Yes. But it was just, I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes. Because it was just, it was captivating. Don't get me wrong. And it was shocking that it all happened. but it was just so unintense. Like, it was just like there was no struggle about any of it. It was just like you get stabbed and then he stabbed him back and then just left. Um, yeah, and then Bowers goes after Mike at the library next, but Richie ends up saving him by giving him a tomahawk to the dome and essentially killing Bowers finally.
Thank God.
So,
Oh, did you like Bauer's zombie? The zombie that was like dragging his ass around. Was that in the original or was that in the movie? I'm trying to think. I can't remember which version it was.
in the movie, it was
I think it was both.
in the movie, it was his
It
buddy.
was his old buddy. Yeah, and both of it was old buddy. But I think one was just way. I can't remember. Was it actually his old buddy? Did he have his old buddy as a zombie in the other one? I'm trying to think.
In the TV show?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think he did.
Yeah, I don't think he did either.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't remember how they got rid of Bowers in the TV show now.
I can tell you. Hold on.
It wasn't a tomahawk to the head. I know that.
No. Let me see. Oh no, it was. He did have his friend. He did have Belch Huggins, as the reanimated corpse.
Okay, how did he die in the TV series?
I'll tell you in the same spot. Eddie kills him with a broken water bottle. I think. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think Eddie kills him with a water bottle. Like he breaks in Eddie's room, there attacks Eddie. I think he injures Mike. That's right. So he busts in the room there and injures Mike. He stabs Mike, in the leg, in the thigh, and cuts his femoral artery. So Mike's in the hospital. He puts Mike in the hospital for the, if I'm not mistaken, for the final confrontation in the TV series. Mike's not there because Mike's in the hospital.
Right.
He stabs him in the thigh, cuts his femoral artery. Then he goes and tries to kill Eddie. He opens the door. He breaks Eddie's arm again, like he did last time. But then Eddie grabbed a water bottle, like a glass water bottle that was broken. I think he stabbed him in the neck.
Right.
And he killed him. That's how he killed him. So he died. He died that day that he came and attacked him. But in the movie, they had him. He stabbed him in the chest, and then he ran off to come back again.
Who is part of the? Because I feel like they were down. I feel like they were down more than just Mike in the TV series.
They were, because what's his name died, killed himself. So they were down Mike on the final confrontation as the adults. What's his name killed himself before he got there.
Oh, that happened in the TV show too?
Yeah. Stan in every version, Stan never makes it back.
Okay.
So Stan offs himself in every version. Kind of the same way. And I think in both versions he ends with they get a letter.
Right.
Saying hey, I did that because I would have held you guys back.
Well, he knew that he wouldn't go back. And that if they weren't all together, then everyone would die.
Well, yeah.
If they weren't all together alive.
Right. Basically what he was saying was he knew he wouldn't go back. And he made it kind of seem like if he didn't go back, he would have been used against them. So he was just like, I'm gonna just not have that happen.
Now in the original, does Eddie end up dying? Because he dies in the
Yes.
Chapter
Eddie does
2.
die. Eddie does die in the original as well.
Okay.
Hey, what's up?
Because I know in It Chapter 2, Eddie dies during the final confrontation with the It monster, but he's the one who essentially gave them the idea of how to beat it by essentially making it feel small.
Yeah.
They took that a little bit too literal at first, but then they decide, then they realize there's other ways to make people feel small. Um, so then these losers, the losers club, okay, these people who have been bullied their whole life turn into the bully. they these kids again, and I feel kind of again. I felt a little bad for the clown, for Pennywise. Like watching it chapter 2, it was just this time instead of a brutal beatdown with bats and chains and golf clubs and whatever else these kids had to give him the beatdown in the sewer the first go around. This time it was just a verbal beatdown. Like they gave this clown a thrashing, and he ended up just shrinking down in size to the point where he was just nothing. And then was it? I think it was Mike who reached into the chest in the chapter 2 in the movie.
Yeah,
Pulled out its heart, and then they all grabbed a hold of it and squeezed it and broke it.
Yeah,
Um,
and he disappeared.
now how did that differ from the TV series?
I think in the TV series they killed it in the TV series via how did they kill it in the TV series? Hang on a second. Yeah, during the climax, Bill, Richie, and Ben are paralyzed by the deadlights located on its abdomen. Yeah, it turns into like the spider bug thing, and Eddie is grabbed and mortally wounded by it. Therefore, before Beverly shoots out the deadlights with her slingshot and one of her silver earrings. So yeah, they kill it with the silver earrings.
Yeah.
The others tend to Eddie, but he dies in the middle of his last sentence. Then the others kill it by disemboweling it and ripping out its heart. That's how they do it. So they hit him with a slingshot, they weaken him, and then he's kind of like laying there on the ground. They try to help Eddie out, but Eddie dies, and then they all kind of just like disembowel it and rip it apart.
Right. Oh my God. Okay, so this It Clown. Before we move on any further, because like now we're already talking about the end of the movie or whatever the shows.
Jesus,
this
that did not happen.
What didn't happen?
So in the TV series, at the end of it all, after they leave Eddie for the sewers dead, and after that they all forget about this and forget about each other, except for Ben and Bev, who get married. See, Ben ends up with Bev. They all forget Eddie and Stan and move on. Richie returns to his showbiz career, which extends into movies, and partners with a man who acts and behaves much like Eddie. Ben and Beverly fall in love, marry, and are expecting a child. Mike's released from the hospital and remains in Derry, but considers whether he ought to move now that Derry no longer needs a lighthouse keeper to watch over the town for the monster's return. Bill helps Audra to come out of her catatonia by taking her to a seemingly suicidal bicycle ride, impersonating the Lone Ranger, which is something he had done years earlier to help revive young Stan, who was frozen with fear. As the film closes, Pennywise's evil laugh is heard one last time. But then in the 2019 version, it ends with after his death, the scars from their blood oath disappear, signifying the end of their ordeal. In the aftermath, Beverly and Ben start a relationship. Beverly, having finally realized that it was Ben sending her love poems, don't know how she didn't realize that before, but life goes on. Mike, now no longer need to keep watch over Derry, decides to leave town and finally start a new life. The losers each receive a posthumous letter from Stan, revealing that Stan knew he'd be too scared to face it and would only be a liability. Thus, Stan took himself off the board to give his friends a fighting chance. Stan urges the other losers, who all retain their memories this time, to live life to the fullest once it's gone. So in the old version, they just all forget about each other.
Jesus.
And go on.
So real quick. Oh, Jesus, what the fuck? Okay, so real quick. I'm on the Pennywise wiki or whatever, okay? So this thing has powers. Like superpowers. I'm going to go through a couple of its powers, then a few of its weaknesses, okay?
All right. And where are we at, Webby?
Just over the hour mark.
All right, cool.
So we'll do this and then we'll pretty much wrap up, yeah.
Cool.
So the powers of it has lower tier omnipotence, telepathy, mind control and possession, shape-shifting. It can create illusions. It has invisibility, telekinesis, psionics, chlorokinesis, which is plant manipulation,
Mm-hmm.
weather control,
I mean, he can pretty much do anything. I think if I'm not mistaken, he pretty much can do anything.
teleportation, superhuman strength, superhuman speed, and invulnerability. Now, its weaknesses. It underestimates and scorns all of mankind. In many cases, it leaves an open escape route for victims and lets them run away. Because of this narcissism, it makes mistakes and does illogical things. 2. Given that it feeds on fear, it makes sense that courage and heart can overcome it. Once the losers are united, their strong shared will and love for each other successfully overpowers the it creature. This allows them to form a psychic connection and send power to each other, even across distances. It can be taken by surprise and can be physically assaulted if the attacker demonstrates no fear of it. Additionally, belief can affect it, such as the use of silver, which is a fictional weakness of supernatural entities, and the inhaler believed to contain battery acid. In the movies, it was Bev who gave Eddie the raw iron spike from the fence, and she said, this can hurt it if you believe it can. And that's like the one that she stabbed him in the face with in the kitchen. The novel states that it must obey the laws of its form, which means that if it possesses the vulnerabilities of whatever form it takes, such as a vampire's vulnerability to sunlight or winged leeches obeying physics of flight. During times of hibernation or healing, it may be vulnerable to surprise attacks. However, other books in the Stephen King universe, such as Dreamcatcher and Hearts in Atlantis, imply that it may still be alive at the end of the story. Yeah, all right. So I'm starting to find out that a lot of like Stephen King's characters are intertwined in various stories. Then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And like even like a lot of the lore.
Yeah, I mean, certain ones. I mean, really, the Dark Tower is his biggest one, like his biggest kind of overarching story that kind of covers a lot of things.
Right.
But I think most, if not all of his stuff, is tied into the Dark Tower and its narrative in some capacity.
All right. All right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Real quick, what was your we'll stick with just essentially the movie. I mean, if you want to say an overall part in general, what was your favorite part in the movie? I guess.
Favorite part in the movie, it just set the scene and the pace for how different the movie was going to be from the miniseries was probably just the interaction with Georgie, because it was just way more creepier.
Okay. All right, you like right in the beginning.
Yep, right in the beginning, like
Yeah.
it just set its tone. It just set the tone really well, I think, and it just showed it was going to be it's going to be much more creepier.
Yeah. My favorite part is probably again still that hotel room scene in It Chapter 2 with the knife in the face of Eddie. Just I don't know, it was comical but yet captivating. Um, Otherwise, yeah, I'd have to say the clown. Like I don't know, Bill Skarsgård did a really good job, and the makeup and artist team or whatever, and it was just creepy. Like his weird blank stare. I don't know, and the voice. I think the voice was much. Yeah. Anyway, it's real fucked up. I don't like it. I don't like clowns, but I don't like clowns getting beaten by children either. So, all right. I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. I mean, that sounds good to me.
All right, everybody. If you haven't seen it, the original TV miniseries,
Find it.
find it.
It's worth it.
It is worth a watch. If you have not seen either it chapter 1 or 2, the movies,
Find it.
find
It's worth
them.
a watch.
It's worth a watch. If you have not read the book, try to get past page 58. I haven't done
It's
it
worth
yet.
to read.
I haven't done it yet.
Find it. It's worth to read.
So Devin, we got life advice with Devin.
Yes, life advice with Devin. Just don't talk to clown in sewers.
Yep. That was going to be my life advice with Webby is just don't fucking talk to clowns. Like,
Actually, yeah, just don't call the clowns. Period. Like clowns are people, but not really. Like they're fine. Like,
you know what? You know the clowns with the sad.
clowns are like we're gonna shame and ignore clowns until there is a Twitter movement to not do so.
You know the clowns with the sad face.
Yep.
Give them a reason to be sad. Just walk away from them.
Yep.
Okay, that's all.
I mean, look at it this way: clowns are just vocal mimes, and mimes are assholes. So there you go.
True statement. Okay, Devin, where can people go ahead and find you on the internet?
You guys can find me on Twitter at DMP_Pookie and on Twitch at PookKillMe. And as always, you can find me on eBay down in the sewers, floating
in the sewers. God damn it! All right, as you got me all fucked up with that one. As always, you guys can follow me on Twitter at JacksForestWalker, all one word, on Twitch at DMWebby, on Instagram at Patrick.Webster52, where I post fucking weird shit. And as always, everybody, thank you for listening. We love you, and fuck Booster Gold.
Fuck Booster Gold.
And fuck clowns and sewers. Like, don't actually do that, but like, fuck them, like, go away from them.
Or do. I don't know. You know what? I'm not gonna stop you. Whatever you're into.
Maybe that was one of its weaknesses that they just didn't touch upon.
Yep. Maybe. Possible.
Maybe Bev should have just hit on him. Maybe he's just allergic.
Maybe he has
hard
cooties.
He's allergic to cooties.
Hard enough, you too can fuck a clown in the sewer.